boom, there's the stat that we're looking for, right? They are, for 2019, for the 2019 summer class, they hired less than 500 people, and they had over 28,000 applications. Hey guys, if you liked the episode today, I want you to go and click the subscribe button to make sure that you get all of our future episodes as well, because we've been putting out very, very valuable content multiple times a week. It's always related to the investment banking recruiting process. It's going to help you navigate through this very, very competitive process. And so go ahead and click subscribe now and make sure that you don't miss out on any of the content. Okay. Today I want to talk about just how competitive the investment banking recruiting process actually is. Okay. I want to show you some actual statistics in terms of what I was actually able to find out there. Most of these firms are very secretive with, how many people they accept each year, right? Not just how many people they accept, but also like how many people actually apply. So you need both of those numbers to be able to calculate the overall acceptance rate for the firm, right? And so this data is not available for all the top banks out there, but I was able to find the acceptance rate for at least a good handful of them. And so this will just give you some data points around, roughly how selective these jobs actually are, to just kind of put things into context for you. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to start with Goldman Sachs, okay, because obviously, in terms of prestige and in terms of the ranking of where people would like to end up in investment banking, I would say it's pretty safe to say that Goldman Sachs is probably typically always going to be number one for most people, right? So starting with Goldman Sachs, historically I've been using this number that says Goldman Sachs gets around 270,000 applications every year, and they hire around 2,700 people. That number is correct, but that number actually includes all of Goldman Sachs across all of their divisions and departments, which isn't really as relevant for us, because really what we care about is just how many people they're hiring within the investment banking division. So front office investment banking roles. Okay. And so I actually was able to find their Investor Day presentation from early 2020, which is pretty recent. This was the end of January. Okay. And then I skipped the first 20 plus slides. This part is where they actually talk about the investment banking division. Okay. And here, if we go down to slide 6, boom, there's the stat that we're looking for, right? They are, for 2019, for the 2019 summer class, they hired less than 500 people, and they had over 28,000 applications. Okay, so if we do the math on that, it's 500 divided by 28,000, it's about 1.78%. Okay, so 1.8% acceptance rate for just the investment banking division of Goldman Sachs, right? And so that's pretty darn low, right? Less than 2%. Okay. Let's look at some of these other banks though, because that's Goldman Sachs. Maybe Goldman Sachs is the hardest one, right? Well, it turns out not really, not necessarily. So here's an article from May 2018, okay, citing the Financial Times, which is kind of like another, it's like the Wall Street Journal, but they're more popular in Europe, okay? Very reputable finance publication. And so what does it say? Deutsche Bank, for example, tells the FT that it has 619 graduate jobs for which it received 110,000 applications. Okay, so that's 619 divided by 110,000. That's 0.6%. That's actually even worse than Goldman Sachs. I know that this was 2018, so this most recent year, I think they only had 80,000 applications. So even if we assume they hired the same number of people, that's still only, 0.8% acceptance rate. So that's Deutsche Bank. And Deutsche Bank, the reason why their application dropped from 110,000 applications to 80,000 applications is because they haven't been doing so hot lately, right? They haven't been doing very well the last few years, so their application is dropping, and even then, they still only hire about 0.6 to 0.7% of their applicants, okay? Citi, which is another top bank, I think Citi, in terms of the prestige rankings, this prestige ranking that I'm looking at here, by the way, the Vault Prestige Rankings, it's based on 3,300 banking professionals who filled out a survey, okay, in the fall of 2019. So, look, rankings inherently are subjective, and I'm not saying this is the correct ranking, but this is more scientific than most other rankings I've seen out there. A lot of times people talk about rankings, it's just a bunch of people talking about it on a forum. It's their personal opinion. A lot of those people don't even work in banking yet, and so you just want to take that with a grain of salt. If you really want to talk about bankings, or talk about rankings, I like using this Vault ranking because at least it's based on people that actually work in the industry, and at least it's a sample size of over 3,300 people, right? So anyway, coming back here, if we look at Citi on this list, they're ranked about number 15, right? So where's Citi? So Citi, they had 575 jobs, received almost 61,000 applications. Okay. So that's a 0.9% application or acceptance rate, right? Morgan Stanley, 1,000 internships, received 100,000 applications. That's 1%, right? Morgan Stanley on this ranking list is number 2, right below Goldman Sachs. So right now we're seeing anywhere from sub 1% to Goldman Sachs, which is about 1.8%. Let's see what else we have. This is a different article. This one's a little more recent. This article that we just looked at is May of 2018. This one is from August 2019. And see here it's citing the overall Goldman Sachs application number, which is 270,000, right? And they hired 2,800 summer analysts. That was back in 2016. Morgan Stanley, 1,300 interns, over 96,000. It's ballpark correct. Obviously, it fluctuates from year to year. It's about 1.35%, right? Citi, 256 applications out of 22,400. That's 1.1%. Ballpark correct. HSBC, 275 accepted out of 21,260, 1.3%. And then these other ones, they don't really have both a numerator and denominator, so we can't calculate. So even all of these data points here is anywhere in the 1+%, right? And then the most generous one that I was able to find, doesn't mean they are the most generous, but it's just this is the most generous one I was able to find, is Jeffries. Okay, so this was from August 2020, so this one's the most recent. This is from this year. Okay, so it says Jeffries typically receives more than 5,000 applications for its annual summer analyst and associate programs. This year, just 176 were selected. So that's 176 divided by 5,000. That's about 3.5%. Okay. And look, this year, because it was COVID, maybe they took less people. We don't know. Right? But even if we want to bump it up, if it was 3.5% this year, like even if we bumped it up, it could be 5%. If they took 250 people, it would have been 5%. It's still not very high, right? And Jeffries on this list of rankings, I think, is about number 17, right? Like unlike a lot of these other banks that we've been looking at, which are bulge bracket banks, Jeffries is more of a middle market bank, which means they're probably going to be a little bit less competitive. They're going to get fewer applications, right? But either way, even then, with a middle market bank like Jeffries, which is nothing to scoff at, it's a very, very, very good bank, you're looking at about 3 to 5% acceptance rate overall. So that gives you a sense for just how hard it really is to get into banking. So for those people who say, well, you know, everything I need to get into banking is probably already on the internet. All I need to do is just do a bunch of Google searches, watch a bunch of free YouTube videos, and that's probably going to get me into banking. If that's really all it took, then everybody would already be getting into banking, right? Clearly, the vast majority of the people that apply aren't actually getting in. So you got to ask yourself, what exactly is my competitive advantage? How do I make sure that I stand out? Out of the 100+ candidates that are applying for this job, how do I make sure I'm the top candidate, right? And that's the question that you have to answer for yourself. And hopefully, the content that we've been putting out on a regular basis is helping you as part of that. But what else are you doing to get ahead, to outcompete your competition? Because I guarantee your competition, they're probably, you know, listening to this episode or watching this episode right now as well, right? So I'll just leave you with that, some food for thought, and hopefully you found this to be insightful. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're looking for more customized advice that's tailored for your specific situation, then I invite you to book a free strategy session with our team at the link below. We'll talk to you soon.